Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about another episode of The Wheel of Time. This is episode 5, Blood Calls Blood. So as always, we're going to talk non-spoilery thoughts and opinions up front and then move over to the spoiler section where we can talk in more detail. So as always, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if you're interested in my reactions to these episodes, you can check out my Patreon. It's down in the description below. So as always, let's begin. All right, so in this episode, we definitely pick up right where we left off. We pretty much pick up, everyone's still kind of separated and stuff, so we still have more or less 3 separate storylines. So we continue along with Matt and Rand. They kind of, I don't really know how to explain it other than to spoil it, basically, but they continue to go on their way. They're trekking to their location, and they basically we kind of just see more ramifications of the stuff that happened last time. We're kind of just simmering on what happened. We got a time jump in this episode, so it's been a whole month later. So a whole month has passed, and now we are just still stewing in everything that happened previously. Everyone is super separated because they apparently kept walking in opposite directions and never, met back up with each other. And until, because their plan is basically to meet up at Tarvalon or Tarvalon, or because everybody pronounce everything different, kind of weird. So that's their plan. They're basically going to meet up there. But like we, of course, have our other plot lines. We have Land and Moraine, who are also, of course, dealing with the aftermath of last episode with that big battle and everything, and the death of that Aes Sedai and everything. So we're, picking up on all that. We're learning more about the customs and stuff in the Aes Sedai, what they do in those situations and everything. And there's just really a lot of character interplay. There's not like a whole lot of detail to go into. There's just like a lot of interesting character interactions and stuff. And we get to see these characters placed in situations that, we obviously haven't seen before. So we get to see like their characterization stretch and kind of expand. And I like what they're doing with some of the characters. They're very much like, to me, I think in this episode most of the characters felt very book accurate. Like a lot of the stuff like felt very much like an echo of stuff that I remember from the early books. So I thought that was really cool. Everyone's really getting their characterizations down, and we get to see like a lot more of the world also in this episode. We get to see a lot more of these really cool sets that they did and these locations and stuff. I think that's coming across really well. Like the show continues to do a really good job. There are a couple things in this episode that hit me that I had an immediate issue with. There was one thing that kind of took me out of the emotional state that I was supposed to be in, and it just kind of made me laugh. So like that was the thing. And then there's just some stuff that happens within this time jump that's just like not explained, and it's weird to me because it feels very abrupt, especially considering last episode and like the way we've been just following very sequentially. But it comes off as a little clunky to me. So I have a couple complaints there. But other than that, like the character interactions and all that stuff was still a lot of fun. The progression of the story is interesting. We're kind of moving in an interesting direction with the way everything is happening with the overall story, the overall big thing that basically Moraine's mission. So we're kind of learning a little bit more about what's going on with that. So it just continues to build on all the storylines and everything. But my biggest compliment for this episode has to be the world building and the settings and stuff. The places that we go in this episode, they all look amazing. Everything is so well done. It looks so lived in and it feels so real and it's just done so well and it looks better than I imagined from the books. So I really like that the best. Like out of this episode, my favorite thing is just like to look at it. Like so this episode is just visually awesome. So let's go ahead and jump into spoilers so I can talk in more detail about some of the stuff that I didn't like and everything. So spoilers for episode 5 of The Wheel of Time, Blood Calls Blood. So one of my biggest issues that I had in this episode was when we pick up with Matt and Rand, they are immediately walking with a group that looks like Tinkers, and they're like wearing, colorful outfits or whatever, like the Tinkers do. But I'm like, how did they meet up with them? What happened? Are we just supposed to assume that after they ran away from that village in the last episode, they, just eventually met up with somebody? Like, the whole thing just kind of took me out of it, like something serious. And based on what they were wearing, I thought they were Tinker. So I'm like, did they meet up with Perrin and Egwene? Like, what happened there? What's going on with that? And I just couldn't understand it. And then when we do cut to Perrin and Egwene, and they're with the Tinkers and Aram, who's Aram, yeah, I feel like I'm saying his name wrong, but I'm just saying Aram. Um, when they like was with him and everything, so like they're still there, but they're not where Matt and Rand were. So I was very confused as to how that happened. So I definitely got to strike that as a negative on the episode. There's like continuity issues on the information. So apart from like that weird little continuity thing with Matt and Rand, like that was kind of my issue with their storyline. But their storyline had to be the smallest one in this episode. So they finally get to Tarvalin. They're basically, everybody's trying to meet there. They're trying to basically meet at the White Tower to meet back up with each other because they all know that's where they're trying to go. So we kind of are hanging around with Matt and Rand, and Matt is far more affected by the dagger. Like you're starting to see all the effects of it and stuff. He's snapping at kids and stuff, and but he's also not just affected by the dagger. He's also like traumatized because he has no idea if he actually hurt that family in the last episode. So it's like a really cool dynamic. He's basically asked for reassurance from Rand and stuff like, "I didn't kill that little girl and stuff, did I?" And everybody's like, "No, no, you didn't do it and stuff." He's like, "Tom even said you didn't," and they think Tom is dead. Of course, I mean, we didn't see a body, and this is a fantasy world, so we know he's not dead. So I mean, just in general, book thing too, he's not dead. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. Their storyline was really concise. I like it a lot, mostly because it was like kind of short and sweet. We kind of got in and got out and stuff, but that continuity thing kind of really hung me up a bit. But also, while they're in Tarvalin, we get to see the whole thing with the false dragon. They're parading Logain through the city, and we get to see that. So it's giving them context of why they're like afraid to be suspected of being able to channel because they assume they'll be treated that way, the same way Logain is treated and stuff. So I kind of like that. It builds more on like the way they feel about these different situations, and it gives them actual motivations for how they feel instead of them just resisting for no real reason or no spoken reason or anything like that. So I like that a lot. So let's jump over to Perrin and Egwene. They have like the second shortest storyline, and the primary bulk of the episode has to do with Land and Moraine. But in Egwene and Perrin's story arc, they are still with the Tinkers, and the Tinkers end up coming across that same, or the separate group of White Cloaks that split off from that original group that we met. And they're basically immediately hostile and stuff because they see Egwene and Perrin, and the main guy, the questioner guy, recognizes them, so he's immediately suspicious and stuff. So they basically immediately all jump the Tuathawan, the traveling people, and beat them all up and stuff because they're always treated terribly because they're peaceful and stuff. And Aram gets Egwene and Perrin to like run away and stuff, and they like leave, and they basically end up eventually getting caught anyway. So they get captured by the same guy who killed the Yellow Sister and stuff, and he basically is suspecting Egwene of being a Aes Sedai and like Perrin of being her warder. So we end up in this situation where he's torturing Perrin in order to try to force her to channel, and it's just like so ridiculous. I'm like so mad about it. Like it made me so mad. Like I couldn't stand it. I don't know. I don't know if I disliked it like as a part of the show, or if I was just really, really pissed at that White Cloak guy who said his name like 3 or 4 times, and I still can't remember it. So like I still can't remember your name, evil bastard. But like it was driving me nuts. But we did get something like really cool. Well, actually, two cool things out of it. Egwene channels actively for the first time, and we get Perrin basically wolf blood kind of activates more or less. We get the cool little shot from the one trailer with the glowing eyes and everything. So that's really cool. I'm happy that that's finally getting started. And I was just hoping, like, because the way the guy was like cutting his back and stuff, and I'm just like, go feral, like, go crazy, like, just do something, break the ropes and kill this guy, rip his face off. So I was just losing my mind. I was so pissed off because he's just like slowly like cutting his back and everything. He's like just drenched in blood and whatnot. I was like Perrin, I kind of noticed, like, Perrin is, like, the most blood-drenched character in the show so far. He's, like, literally blood-showered in the first episode and stuff, and this one, he's completely blooded and stuff. I don't think anybody else has had as much blood on them yet. But, I don't know, that's funny. I just noticed that. Oh, I guess it's appropriate, wolf or whatever, carnage and all that kind of stuff. But after some time when he kind of leaves them there, he basically sets us... So he basically sets up a situation for them, for her to either channel and prove that she's an Aes Sedai in order to save him, or he's going to die in order to save her secret as he perceives it or whatever. So either way it go, one of them are going to die is kind of the situation. And as he's cutting up Perrin, like he's like freaking out and like yelling and stuff, and his eyes glow yellow, and he basically freaking summons a gigantic wolf pack to come and attack all the White Cloaks, and it was freaking awesome. But at the same time, Egwene is actively channeling. She makes this little baby fireball in her hand and like throws it at him and stuff, and it just like poofs, like because she's just now actively doing it, so she's not very powerful in what she's actually trying to do. So it just comes off a little poof ball. It's like, oh, that's cute. Like, and she's like, even though that didn't work, or whatever, she was still kind of double thinking because she used that time to also like throw in the weak fireball. She burned Perrin's ropes, and he got out. So he was basically about to beat the crap out of the guy and probably kill him. But then Egwene runs up and stabs him in the back with the knife he left on the table. I was like, you just stole a kill from Perrin. Like, that was his body count, and you stole it. Like, I was like, why did you do that? Like, that was the thing that kind of took me out of it, too. It took me out of the moment. Like, I don't know why they're like, I don't know, either they're trying not to give Perrin much of a body count because he already killed his wife, or maybe like everybody else got to catch up to his body count or something. I don't know. But like, it would have made a lot more sense for him, who was getting tortured, to rip that guy in half. Like, I really wanted it. But they also were clearly trying to keep him around, so they just have Egwene like stab him and like injure him instead of killing him. So he's definitely going to come back. Whereas Perrin probably would have straight up ripped his head off, which I would have been all about. So that would have been much better. But that's pretty much where we kind of leave them. After that, they kind of get out of there, and they're going to go, and the wolves are like attacking everybody, and they use the wolves to, pretty much get out of there. So they're probably going to meet up with everyone else next episode because they're like right outside of the city. So I'm guessing that's just going to happen. But then we, of course, have to jump to Lan and Moraine / Nynaeve's story because Nynaeve is with them now. It's been a month, and they've been together and stuff, so they're at the White Tower now. They've all gotten to, went straight to the White Tower, not just to the city. So they're in the White Tower, and basically Moraine leaves Egwene, or Nynaeve, in this room and basically tells her, hang out here so you can stay out of all the politics of all the women in the tower, because every interaction with every other sister is basically a game of chess. It's insane. They it's crazy politicking, it's manipulation, and it's like trying to find secrets, and it's hedging, and like it's all this kind of stuff. It's just like a forever game. So she's like, stay out of that, and like you just chill here or whatever, because they're going to try to force you to become a novice and everything. And pretty much it's going to happen. Like, she basically has no choice, because if you can channel, you basically have to be trained or you'll end up killing yourself. So she's going to be a novice. She has no real choice in it. But like, we get that same red sister basically kind of coaxing her into getting more comfortable and stuff, telling her like, go check out the gardens, go check out the library, and all this kind of stuff. Like, trying to get her more comfortable, basically trying to butter her up because she wants her to be a red Aes Sedai. She wants her to join the red Aja and stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting. We're already seeing how it play. Just the conversation between that one red, whose name I can't remember for the life of me, and Moraine, like just the way they were playing off each other and just kind of like pairing. It was like fencing, but with words and stuff. And it's just really interesting, these dynamics and stuff. I like the way they're playing out. It's very true to the book, but it's a lot more interesting in like a visual medium, because a lot of it in the books just comes off as everybody thinking stuff, and it's their perception, but it's not confirmed, and some of the actions don't confirm to what people think they were thinking and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot more fun when it's directly, you can kind of see them sparring. So I enjoy that a lot. And it's another book thing that I'm happy that's being adapted really well. So the bulk of the episode really takes place around the aftermath of last episode, when Karini, the Green Sister, was killed when they were trying to defend themselves against Logain. So it's really like what happens to a warder after the Aes Sedai dies. So we go through like all the funeral processions of all the sisters that died and everything, and that was really cool, really well done, and like really sad and stuff. Like, you really get a feel for it and everything, like the loss and how hard it's hitting everyone. But like, you really get the feel for this one character who we met last episode and got a little bit of him. But in this episode, like, we pretty much spent the whole episode with him, kind of. Like, we spent a good chunk of it, so we get to really understand, like, Lan's relationship with the other warders, like, how they truly are his brothers and everything, and, like, how the aspect that of the White Tower, like, how everyone there treats a warder after their Aes Sedai died and stuff. And there's this whole idea that if he just bonds another Aes Sedai pretty quickly, then the loss of that other bond will be easier to deal with. So it won't be as horrible. Like, he is, mourning like 10 to 20 times worse, because like he basically half experiences the death, and it's an incredible loss. It's just incredible, and it's terrible. And there's just like it's so well done. Like a lot of the relationships and stuff that we see, like the way Lan and stuff tries to comfort him and everything, and even the way like he talks to Nynaeve, because like he has a conversation with Nynaeve about like before he goes to sleep, the pain kind of goes away, and she's like, "Oh, that's good," and he's like, "No, that's not good because all I have left of her is the pain and stuff." And then she like promises him the pain will never go away. I was like, that's like such a good moment. It's such a sad sentiment, but like so true. And I was like, that's just really well done. And we get all this stuff. And then like he gets this tea from Nynaeve, this sleep tea. And I'm thinking nothing of it. Like, yeah, of course he needs some help going to sleep and blah 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 because he's not just drinking himself to sleep. But then like we some time later after jumping between storylines and everything, we go back and him and Lan are hanging out and stuff and like just chatting and whatnot, making pretty much talking about like if he were to bond the other Aes Sedai who has the two guys and they're basically like a throuple or whatever. They're basically talking about like if he bonds her, then basically he immediately joins that relationship. He's like, I haven't been with a dude before and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was hilarious. But I'm like, you could probably, you could just be the extra, like, let them have their throuple, and you're just over here, like, you ain't gotta really include yourself. But it was mostly like all kind of a joke and everything because he clearly had another plan, because he put that sleepy tea stuff in Lan's tea, so he ended up passing out, and he used that time when, like, because everyone was like looking out for him and stuff, and basically watching him, because he's literally on suicide watch. Because when he puts Lance to sleep, he goes off and basically ceremoniously kills himself in order to be with his Aes Sedai. And it was like so sad, so treacherous, so terrible, and like it was already sad seeing him deal with the pain of the loss of that bond and everything, which is already intense. But then we see Lan deals with that death, and he almost deals with it double time because he deals with understanding the loss of, understanding the bond. So the idea of losing that bond, he's kind of dealing with that concept, and then understanding that he might not be strong enough because somebody he knew was strong wasn't strong enough to deal with it and took their own life and stuff. So it hits him super hard, and then the bond with Moraine hit her super hard. So everybody, it's like that scene from the trailer when like they're beating their fist against the chest kind of in time with the heartbeat thing, and like everybody's crying and stuff. I was up there about to cry. It was insane. Like my eyes are getting misty and stuff, and then it just completely took me out of it. Like when Lan at the end of the scene, he starts yelling like in pain and stuff. And it was like it worked perfectly. It was like cries of anguish and everything. It was like I felt it and everything. But that last one he did, for whatever reason, Daniel Henney grabbed his robe and opened it like he was Superman, and I died. Like that was just too funny to me. It kind of ruined the entire moment, took me out of the sadness, and just was so goofy. And I have no idea why he did it. I hope it wasn't a directorial decision, but it took me so completely out of it. It just made me laugh. I can't get over it. It's too funny. But yeah, that's basically where we end the episode. Like the episode had a lot of really good stuff in it, but it had some really significant kind of iffy / bad stuff that kind of like I don't know, if I had to rate it, I probably would give this episode like a 6, because it was really well done with like the character interactions and like the settings and everything, and like a lot of the world building and stuff that we got. But there were some like continuity errors and like just some decisions that were made that just I was just like, it just like completely took me out of it. And so far I haven't been in a situation with any of these episodes where I've literally been taken out of it. So I have to definitely comment on that. So yeah, I guess that's where I'm going to leave it. There's some good stuff in it. There's some bad stuff in it. It's not the best episode so far. Last episode definitely takes the cake. But this one is, for me, this honestly is probably the weakest episode so far. So yeah. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Even though there was some awesome parent stuff. There was some awesome wolf stuff. And I love that stuff so much. But this episode is kind of the lowest for me so far. But I hope the next one is better. So let me know in the comments, what do you all think of the episode? How did you feel about it? Let me know about that down there. And if you're interested in my reaction, you can definitely check that out on Patreon. The link is down below. But as always, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I will talk to y'all next time. Peace.